Okay, so good afternoon everybody and sobra ako nagulat, no? Talagang grabe, meron pa sa Middle East, meron pa sa Canada, and I hope that it's worth your while to join us this afternoon. So this afternoon I'm gonna talk about the global market, no? A few weeks ago we talked about the local market, but this time we want to talk about the global, more on the global side. Kasi sa totoo lang ang mundo palit na ng paliit eh. And I'm sure, even especially for the people who are staying in the Philippines, I'm sure you will all acknowledge that the opportunity is not just in the Philippines. It's all out there. So it's very important for all of us to understand ano yung nangyari. I've been already been seeing a lot of questions, and I assure you that I'll do my best to answer all of it, no? So there are three main things that we expect that ito ang tatlong pinaka-binabantayan namin, no? So the first one is what we call as the earnings momentum and the AI cycle, no? So yung mga companies, are they still gonna earn as what we're expecting them to do, etc., etc. We're gonna talk about that in more detail later on. Inflation, and of course the path of interest rate, no? I'm sure with everything that's happening now, pamahalang bilihin, may impact ba lahat ng to sa investment natin? Pag-uusapan din natin yan. And of course, the political and the policy development that's gonna happen in the US, no? Very specific to sa US market to, no? But sabi nga nila, kapag pag nag-hatching daw ang US, lahat tayo magkakasipon, no? So that's why it's very important for us to understand what's happening in the US market. Okay, so let's start. No, before I discuss any of these three, let me just, di ba, walang market outlook, hindi makukumpleto ang market outlook kung walang kamatayang ano ba ang GDP forecast at saka inflation forecast. So, simulan ko muna dito, so that's why, para matapos na. No, so Philippines, no, so globally we're expecting that the global market will continue to grow, but Asia will slow down, no, for this year, and especially a lot of countries that are impacted by this oil crisis, no. Unfortunately, Philippines is one of the ones that will be biggest hit. We're expecting that this year, the Philippines will only grow by 3.2%. If you were able to listen to my talk nung bandang early part of the year, before nag-away-away si Trump tsaka si Iran, no, our original forecast was around 5.2%. But unfortunately, because of the war, we have significantly reduced that all the way to 3.2%, no? The rest of the world, we expect that Korea will continue to do well kasi nga a lot of the semiconductors are coming from that country. We're gonna discuss that in more detail later on, no? Why is GDP such an important number for you? Because GDP talks about you. It talks about your income. It talks about your prosperity. So, pag tinitingnan nyo palagi, pag tumataas ang GDP, mas ibig sabihin nun, yung citizen, yung mga tao sa bansa na yun, mas yumayaman. Okay? So that's why it's very important that you also always make sure na nakikita nyo ano ba yung mga forecast ng GDP ng mga bawat bansa. Okay? Now, equivalently, the next one is inflation. No? So kung sinasabi natin kanina, I'm sorry to say na bababa yung GDP ng Philippines from the original 5.2 that we were forecasting. It will now just be 3.2. Now, unfortunately, on the inflation side, baliktad naman. We expect the inflation of the Philippines will hit 5.7%. So originally, we were forecasting 2.6%, but because of what's happening now, we're now looking at around 5.7% yung GDP. Inflation, and overall sa buong mundo, no, across almost all countries, inflation is gonna shoot up, no, this year, no. And unfortunately, Philippines, malaki ang impact natin dito. Okay? Now, again, bakit importanteng alam ninyo to? Kasi sa totoo lang, if your inflation is hitting 5.7% and your investment is only doing 5% or even 4%, or even worse, nilagay mo lang sa savings account, that's just earning you a 1% return. Unfortunately, you're not even making money, you're even losing money. So non-negotiable, guys, if you're going to invest, ang pinaka-hurdle nyo is at least beat inflation. Otherwise, guys, gastusin nyo na lang yon. Yayain nyo na lang ako, kumain tayo sa labas, gastusin nyo na lang yon. Otherwise, kung mas mataas ang inflation kaysa sa kinikita ninyo, your money is just shrinking. Okay? Now, continue natin. So, ito yung tatlong pinag-uusapan natin. Puntahan muna natin yung gitna. Yun yung pinaka-controversial, no? And of course, no other than the Strait of Hormuz being blocked, no? Somewhere early part of July, nagbati na si Donald Trump at si ano no si Iran, no? There was some ceasefire that happened. Unfortunately, lately nag-away na naman sila. Now, the news is, if you look at price of oil now in the last few days, it looks like there's something going on again. There looks like there's another ceasefire that's gonna happen. Unfortunately, if you notice the news last night, guess what? Si US binomba na naman si Iran kagabi. That's why if you see the price of oil kanina, umakyat na naman. Okay? So, you see, when you talk about the Strait of Hormuz, then yung immediately, alam kagad natin dito, ang pinaka-biggest impact nito, one of the biggest, is actually oil. And on the left side is the oil price. Pag napansin nyo, it peaked somewhere middle of May, and eventually after May, it started to go down already. But what's so interesting, guys, if you look at the right side of the graph, yung right graph naman, yan naman yung mga ship na lumalabas sa Strait of Hormuz. So pag napansin mo, since May, January, June, March, April, May, June, pare-pareho naman. Hindi naman lumalabas yung mga carrier o yung mga tanker. Why is it that the price of oil has gone down significantly already, considering na yung mga ship hindi pa rin naman nakakalabas? If you will notice, doon sa bandang July, yes, it started to go up already because of the ceasefire. Unfortunately, if you look at the last 2 weeks data, it's down again to almost just an average of 10. So you see, the answer there is, yes, the Strait of Hormuz is very strategic. No, 20% of the oil used to pass from that strait. But what a lot of people do not know, one of the biggest, in fact, majority, a big part of the oil ng Saudi Arabia is not passing to the Strait of Hormuz already. So dinadaanan nila sa kabila sa Red Sea. So it seemed like na 20% yung na-disrupt, but the good news is there's a lot of carrier or oil tanker that is already passing to the other strait. Kaya, if you look at the impact of oil, it started to go down already. The second reason bakit yung oil bumabagsak, despite the fact na yung ship hindi pa rin nakakalabas, guess what? Because China stopped importing the moment na pumutok yung giyera. And guess what? China is the biggest importer of oil. So simula na pumutok yung giyera, he stopped. Now, ang tanong dito is, bakit siya tumigil? Well, actually, maraming mga haka-haka yan. There's even one that says that kasi may deal si Donald Trump sa China na huwag ka munang bumili. But one of the biggest reality is China has a huge stock of oil. In fact, if you add, kung kinuha mo yung oil reserve ng China, kinuha mo yung oil reserve ng China, at kinuha mo lahat ng oil reserve ng the rest of the world, mas malaki pa yung reserve ng China kaysa the rest of the world. So they are able to tolerate this war na not importing oil. Okay? Okay, let's continue. So other than the Strait of Hormuz na na-disrupt yung oil, a lot of people palaging inisip kasi yung oil, hindi lang oil ang tinamaan doon. In fact, one of the biggest impact is actually fertilizer. So tingnan nyo mabuti guys ha, yung oil and fertilizer. Bakit importante fertilizer? First, fertilizer is food, di ba? So if you look at the component of inflation, dalawang pinaka-biggest component ng inflation. And guess what? Ano yung dalawang yon? Energy and food. So yung oil mo, tinamaan dito. Yung food mo, yung fertilizer mo, tinamaan. That's why if you look at our inflation, all over the world, inflation has been going up. Okay? So yun ang pinaka-reason dyan. Now, let's continue. So if you look at the inflation of the US, it is now at a 3-year high. So kahit US even if US has a very large oil reserve, you will notice that their inflation is going up as well. Now, people are saying, di ba, si US is already exporting oil? Bakit tumataas pa rin yung inflation niya? Because what a lot of people do not know, yes, US is already exporting oil. But ang pinaka-interesting doon is they are also importing oil. Because ang pinaka-nakakatawa doon, yung oil na meron si US is different from the oil that the Middle East country has. And ang problem, yung refinery sa US, ang kaya niyang i-refine yung oil ng Middle East, hindi yung oil ng US. Kasi yung sa US, yan yung tinatawag natin na baga mas malabnaw. So the machine are not designed for that one. They're designed to distill the one that's coming from the Middle East. So despite na malaki ang oil reserve nila, they still need to import. So guess what? That's why their inflation is going up. And this is also the reason why Donald Trump has been insisting, has been pushing to end this war already. Okay? So makikita mo sa mga behavior niya, di ba? Mayabang siya, but makikita mo talaga na talagang gusto niya nang matapos to. Okay? Now, sorry to say this, now, not to add insult to injury, other than itong problema natin sa Strait of Hormuz, there is one risk that is now emerging, and that is the El Nino global phenomena. No? So this time, ang pinaka-problema natin dito, this is now what we consider as super El Nino. Probably one of the strongest in the recent history. And if you look at the Philippines, kasi gusto ko malaman nyo anong impact na sa Pilipinas natin, no? If you look at Philippines, Philippines will be drier. So you will expect that, yes, papasok pa rin ang tag-ulan, but yung rain natin will now be lesser compared to what we are expecting. Okay? So isa lang ibig sabihin niyan, huwag na kayo masyadong magdilig-dilig, huwag na kayo masyadong maligo. Hindi, biro lang. Okay, now just to give you an idea, this is what we're looking at. No? It starts nung April, already started. Mild pa lang, but as you see, at it goes further, no? Palala ng palala yung El Nino. And I'm sorry to say, by the time na pumasok ng November yan, nako, yan na yung pinaka-peak ng Super El Nino. Okay, bakit napaka-importante sa atin ito, guys? Because if you look at the timeline from April to February of 2027, you know what that means, guys? This means 2 cycle ng palay mo, ng planting season. 2 cycle ang tatamaan dito. And you know, guys, sa Philippines, rice is life. So kung 2 seasons ang tatamaan dyan, you will expect that there will be problem with your rice harvest. Okay? And remember, hindi lang Pilipinas ang tatamaan nito. Buong mundo ang tatamaan nito. Kasama dito are the countries where we normally even import our rice. So kung sila mismo tatamaan, I'm sorry, baka decide na lang nila is hindi na rin sila muna masyado mag-export kasi sa bansa muna nila kulang na, right? Okay, so kaya yan ang isa sa mga pinaka-ine-expect natin na impact that will hit inflation. Again, this is global. Now, ang pinag-uusapan natin dito is yung impact ng inflation and interest rate. Later on, I will share to you, ano ba yung relationship ng dalawang yan? Bakit importanteng alam natin yung relationship ng dalawang yan? So far, ang pinag-uusapan natin muna is inflation. Now, on the other hand, if you look at the US job market, humihina yung employment nila. Now, bakit importante to? Kasi sa US, even sa atin sa Pilipinas, meron tayong tinatawag na central bank, right? Sa US, meron din tayong tinatawag na Fed. Yung Fed nila, parang equivalent ng central bank natin. And a lot of these central banks, dalawa lang ang trabaho nila sa buhay nila, no? Ano yung pinakauna? The first one is to manage inflation. They want to make sure na inflation mababa. Inflation ang pinaka-delikado. Hindi pwedeng tumaas ang inflation. Pag tumaas ang inflation, kawawa yung madla, kawawa yung masa. So, number one job of central bank is to manage inflation. But there's another job that central bank has to make sure that they also do. And what is that? Employment. So, make sure price is stable, hindi tumataas, and yung tao may trabaho. Okay, so yan dalawang trabaho niya. Now, if you look at kanina, sinasabi natin there's a threat na tataas ang inflation and it will continue to go up. And on the other hand, yung employment ng Amerika, bumababa naman. So meaning maraming tao na medyo hindi na nakakakuha ng bagong trabaho. So if you look at the two, medyo contradicting yung dalawang yon, no? Okay, now brings me to the reason bakit importanteng alam nyo yung connection ng interest rate tsaka ng inflation. Okay, so tingnan natin to guys ha. Sabihin na lang natin, I'll just look at random name here. No? For example, let's say, si Ana. Nakita ko si Ana. So letter A, si Ana. So si Ana ngayon, o sige, pag-usapan natin yung inflation. Bakit ba tumataas ang inflation? Tumataas ang inflation kasi tumataas ang demand, di ba? Tumataas ang demand, yung supply mababa. Mas maraming may gusto kaysa dun sa supply, correct? Okay, now, kung mas mataas yung supply, mas mababa yung demand, bababa yung inflation. So palaging ganun lang yan. So, paano gagawin ng central bank? Anong gagawin ng central bank para to make sure na bumaba ang inflation? Sabi natin, demand and supply lang naman yan. So, imagine lahat kayo gusto niyo bumili ng iPhone. So, nakita ko kanina, there are about 1,000 of us. Now, guess what? Si Apple, kaya lang niya mag-produce ng 500. So, 500, ang kaya niya produce, 1,000 ang gustong bumili. So, ano nangyari sa presyo? Tataas yung presyo. Correct? Kasi mas marami may gusto kaysa sa kaysa doon sa supply. Now, ito ngayon ang question dyan. Pwede bang isabihin ni Apple, alam ko na, para walang problema, damihan ko yung gagawin kong cellphone. Gagawa ko ng 1,000 na lang, hindi 500 lang. Therefore, masusuplayan ko na yung demand. Now, pwede ba yon? Sa totoo lang, hindi. Bakit? Kasi isa lang makina niya eh. Kahit anong gawin niya, isa lang makina niya eh. Correct? Para makagawa siya ng bagong makina, matagal yon. So you see, the problem with supply and demand, yung supply, hindi pwedeng damihan. Inelastic ang tawag doon. Okay? Now, kung alam nyo pala yung supply hindi pwedeng magalaw, hindi pala pwedeng paramihin yon, pwede ba natin pababa yung demand? Okay, pwede ba ibaba ang demand? Yung 1,000 dito, 500 na lang bibili. Pwede ba yon? The answer is yes. Anong gagawin natin? Si Ann ngayon, eksakto, papunta ngayon sa Louis Vuitton. Bibili siya ng bag. Yung bag na bibili niya, 200,000 pesos. Okay? Anong ginawa ni Ann? Habang nasa kotse siya, tinawagan siya ng isang kaibigan niya na nasa COL. Sabi niya, hey Ann, good news. Meron kaming time deposit. 15% guarantee. Okay? Guys, example lang yan ha. Baka bigla kayo magtawagan sa COL at nagbigay kayo ng 15% na time deposit. Ha? Okay? So anyway, so tinawagan si Ann. Sabi niya may 15% na time deposit. Question, bibilin pa kaya ni Ann yung bag o hindi na? Guess what? Most likely, hindi na. Sabi ni Ann, 15%, invest ko na lang muna. Diba? So ano nangyari? Eh di nabawasan na isang bibili. So you see, if you want to control inflation, all you need to do is to increase interest rate. Okay? So, when interest rate is high, people are demotivated to spend. And kung gusto mo naman gumastos sila, gawin mo yung baliktad. Ibaba mo yung interest rate. So, that is why, if you look at the US, if you look at the Philippines, a lot of the countries, they are now looking at increasing interest rate. So, para makita ninyo, ito yung sa US. Sa US, the market is expecting that sa September magtataas ang isang interest rate and by December magtataas na naman ang interest rate. Because again, they want to demotivate people to spend. Okay? Yan. So, okay. So now, very important that you have to understand na may bagong chairman ang US. Ang pangalan niya, Kevin Walsh, no? So, bakit importanteng na alam niyo to? So, kanina, yung sinasabi natin dito, the market is expecting that the interest rate will go up. Okay? Guys, if you've been hearing si Donald Trump, ano sabi niya? Hindi, dapat ibaba. So, guess what? Sabi ni Donald Trump, ibaba, pero the market is saying iakyat. Now, guess what? Ano sa tingin ninyo ang gagawin kaya ni Kevin Wash? Si Kevin Wash, siya na ngayon ang bagong Fed Chair. Okay. Now, bago ang lahat, let me just share this to you. Kasi kanina ang daming question. Melvin, bakit bumaba ang market? Hindi naman sinabi Melvin kasi hindi nyo alam speaker si Melvin, no? So, bakit bumaba yung market and so on and so forth? Guess what, guys? Do you know that every time na nagkakaroon ng Fed, bagong Fed Chair, the market always goes down? In fact, if you look at all Fed Chair, the moment na na-install sila, market went down. On an average, 12%. So you see, yung pagpasok ni Kevin Wash ngayon, it's nothing surprising. Okay? Bakit? Kasi niraramdaman pa nila, tinitingnan nila paano ba mag-isip ng bagong chairman na to eh. And habang nag-iisip sila, guess what? Anong ginagawa ng market? Sell muna, sell muna. Tingnan muna natin kung okay ba tong bagong chair o hindi. Pag okay, kaysa na tayo bumalik. That's why traditionally, market really go down the moment na may bagong Fed chair na pumasok. Okay? Yun. Para lang medyo mahimasmasan kayo. Kasi I'm sure a lot of people are worried why the market is going down lately. Okay? Now, guys, okay, guys, ito ha. This is our fearless forecast. Okay? Our forecast is, we think that the market is too hawkish. Feeling namin, sa totoo lang, the Fed will not increase interest rate. So the market is pricing interest rate high. But we believe that the interest rate will not go up. Okay? Now, we have two very compelling reasons why we think that the interest rate will not go up compared to how market is viewing it. The first one is the oil. If you look at oil, despite na may gera pa rin si Russia, ay si Ukraine, si US tsaka si Iran, the price of oil has significantly gone down already. And in fact, if you look at yung nagka-ceasefire sila, the price of oil even went down to the pre-war level. So meaning, anytime na natapos ng gerang to, we expect that the price of oil will shoot down fast. And oil and inflation is temporary. So this year umakyat siya, pag inakyat niya yung interest rate niya dito, next year bababa naman yung inflation, magkakaproblema siya. Baliktad yung magiging impact nun. So we believe that the Fed will not raise interest rate. The second reason why we believe that the Fed will not increase interest rate is because if you understand the language of Kevin Wash, meron siyang palaging minimension na task force na ginawa niya. 5 task force na yon. Huwag niyo nang problemahin kung ano yung detail ng task force na yon kasi medyo madugo pag-usapan pa yon, no? But ito yung sinasabi niya, yung Fed communication, meaning how he will talk to the market, yung balance sheet daw ng Fed, yung source of data na nakukuha nila, tama ba itong mga source na ginagamit natin or obsolete na? Yung inflation na framework, meaning the way they measure inflation, tama nga ba? And yung productivity and jobs that is impacted by AI. So itong 5 task force na to, pinagawa niya to. Now, tanongin ko kayo ngayon, imagine, nasa isang kumpanya kayo. Tapos yung presidente ninyo, gumawa ng 5 task force. Sabi niya, okay, gawin nga natin tong task force na to para malaman natin kung tama ba yung ginagawa natin o hindi. Okay, question. Kung nagpagawa ka ng 5 task force para pag-aralan yung buong sistema ninyo, gagalaw ka ba before that? Di ba nakakatawa yun? Wala pa yung result ng task force, pero nagtaas ka ng interest rate? It does not make sense, di ba? So you see, if I'm Kevin Wash, kung ginawa ko tong task force na to, I will wait for the result of the task force. And I will be guided kung gagawin ko. And guess what? We expect that the task force will be able to release their output only by December. So you see, kung meron man tataas na interest rate, baka December. But from now until December, for as long as yung task force hindi pa natapos, I don't think that the Fed will increase interest rate. Okay? Guys, the exclamation point if you find this helpful so far. Okay? So continue natin. So mamaya pag-uusapan natin yung impact ng interest rate na naman. Okay? So again, ulitin ko, we think that the interest rate will not go up. Okay? Even if market is pricing it. Now, okay. Second topic, the AI thesis. Ito yung walang kamatayang tanong nyo palagi na ano ba nangyari sa AI, AI, AI. Okay. Now, let me just share this to you. Number one, noong 2025, AI-related companies, the Mag7, they did very well. When they say they did very well, it's not just a matter of kumikita ba yung stock nila. The company itself is doing very well. And if you drill it down to by sector, the tech companies are the one that is really doing very well, no? So, yung price increase noong 2025 was really justifiable kasi talaga naman lumaking kita nilang lahat. Now, in fact, not only na lumaki yung kita nila, yung projection ng market, yung estimate ng market versus yung actual earning nila, grabe sobrang layo. Look at this one. These are 24-25 numbers, ha? Google, they were expecting 4.9% yung increase ng income niya, naging 33% yung actual. Meta, the same thing, nagdoble. Microsoft from 11 to 13, Apple from 5 to 10, all increased their earnings based on market expectation. So meaning these AI related companies are doing very, very well. Okay? Now, if you look at this year, di pa tapos, but nung start ng year, every year, any economist, any investment people, any company like us, no, katulad namin, we do forecasting. We look at kung ano yung i-increase ng income tong company na to. All of us have our expectation of each companies. So COL is not unique. So marami kaming ganyan. And guess what? At the start of the year, ito yung ina-expect namin na earning. Okay? The black one ha. Yan yung ina-expect namin na earning. Guess what? Hindi pa natatapos yung March, we have to increase all our expectation already. Why? Because the AI-related companies and the AI related and anything that is attached there are doing very well. So the US market is really doing very well in terms of earnings. Okay? So now we expect that the AI related companies will continue to spend, no? Now, that's good and bad. Good because the more they spend, the more that AI related companies will continue to do well. Of course, later on, part ng caveat doon is if it should translate into earnings. If it doesn't, then you expect that the AI bubble will burst. But so far ngayon, we don't see that the bubble will burst anytime soon. Okay? Now, from 2025, from 490 billion, this 2026 estimate, we expect that the spend of these AI-related companies is gonna hit $820 billion. So ang laki ng increase nila. And that's also the reason why, if you look at the first half of the year, despite yung gera, etc., the US and the global stock market did very well. Why? Because at the end of the day, ano nangyari doon? No matter what competition will be, the one that is supplying the raw materials will always have a sale. So yan yung mga tinatawag natin na semiconductor companies. That's why if you look at the tech-related companies, ang totoo talaga niyan, ang umakyat talaga dyan are the semiconductor-related companies. Pag-uusapan natin ng mas mabuti yan later on para maintindihan nyo yung buong AI thesis. How does it really work? Okay? Now, quick question guys. Meron bang nangyari sa mundo or meron bang invention na nangyari na itong invention na to, dahil sa invention na to, it changed our life forever. Not only you, not only me, everyone. Because of this technology, no, it changed so many people's life. Question, type in the chat box. So sabi ni Marco, smartphones, correct. Kasama yan. Type guys in the chat box, inventions, technology that was created, and because of that, it changed our life forever. Sliced bread, tama rin yun. QR code, internet, computer, AI, lahat ng sinabi nyo, tama. Okay? Guess what? Ang dami pa. Ang nakikita nyo lang yung mga bago. In fact, you take for granted car. You take for granted yung kotse, correct? Do you know that combustion is one of the biggest invention that changed our life forever? See? So, ang sinasabi palagi natin is itong mga changes na to, the one that will change everything, if you will be able to invest in this thing early enough, you will do very well. So these are three examples. The first one is the internet. During the 1990s all the way to 2005, despite the dot-com bubble, guys, despite the dot-com bubble, if you were able to invest in internet-related companies, you would have made 250% return on your investment. And guess what? If you would have invested in the smartphone, your return would have been 400% despite the big drawdown at the end. Nakita niyo yung bagsak na malaki doon? You still made a staggering 400%. See? Now, guess what? Today, the AI-related industry is only up by 110%. So if you would to look at past histories of inventions, malayo pa yung iakyat ng AI industry. Now, don't get me wrong, there will be a lot of bumps moving forward. But ang pinaka sinasabi ko lang dito, if you look at the thesis, the AI thesis, no, it will still do well in the long run. Okay? Yun. Exclamation point if you find our discussion so far helpful. Okay, now, pag-usapan natin dito. Question, guys. What does all of these four have in common? The Apollo Moon Landing, the US Interstate Highway, the Belt Road Initiative, and the AI infrastructure. What do all four of these have in common? Guys, type in the chat box. What do all four of these have in common? Sige nga, what do all four of these have in common? Okay? Okay, guess what? It's a competition. It's a competition. See? So the Apollo moon landing is a competition between US and Russia. Di ba? Do you know that the US Interstate Highway used to be called the US Defense System Highway? The US Defense System Highway. Because it's not created because para makapasyal ka from East Coast to West Coast. Hindi. That entire highway was designed because of the Cold War. See? So this highway are so massive that you can land a plane anywhere. It was designed for war. It was designed for war. So you see, the Belt Road Initiative is now the version of China. So si China ngayon, he wanna make sure that he connect to more than just one sea. Yun ang ginagawa naman niya ngayon. And all of that is a race. All of that is competition. And guess what? The latest is the AI race. So it's a race between US and China. Okay? Yon. So 2026 yan. So yeah, you're correct. 2023 to 2026. Thank you, Camille. Camille. Okay? There. Now, so you see, hindi lang to enterprise. It's not a matter of companies lang. These are backed up by the countries. Okay? So, let's continue. So, if you look at AI, you have to understand AI into three layers. The first one is the enabling layer. This is the infrastructure, this is the cloud. Yung mga naririnig yung cloud, yan yung mga tinatawag nilang data centers. Yan yung mga data centers. Okay? The second one is what we call as the intelligence layer. This is what we call as the LLM, large language model. Ano ba yung LLM? Yan yung ChatGPT, yan yung Anthropic, etc. And of course, the last part is the application. Now, tingnan natin mabuti. Anong mga umakyat nung simula? The Mag 7. The Mag 7 is part of the enabling layer and the intelligence layer. So makikita mo yung Mag 7, marami sa kanila gumagawa ng chip like Google and Nvidia, but a lot of them of that 7, no, some of them are also already in the intelligence layer. Since they're the biggest in the industry, they are the one who benefited, but they're part of the enabling layer and the intelligence layer. So what happened? So yung laban ng intelligence layer became more more and more yung laban nila. Naaway-away na sila. Sino ba mas maganda? Si Anthropic, si OpenAI, Anthropic o OpenAI. So ano sinabi ng market? Abay, bakit tayo mag-away-away dyan? Ang gagawin ko, bibili ako yung material na kailangan yung dalawa. So habang nag-aaway sila, yung kailangan nilang bilhin na material, yun ang bibiling kong company. That's why, if you look at this first part of the year, ang umakyat are the semiconductors. Saan sila? Sa enabling layer. So, ngayon, ano nangyari? Now, we're looking at the enabling layer, medyo malaki na, pricey na yung mga price niya. We're now expecting that the intelligence layer will start to catch up again. But more than the intelligence layer, so meaning sinasabi namin, it looks like babalik na sa Mag 7 na naman. So we are looking at Microsoft, undervalued na siya ngayon, etc., etc. But we're now looking at not just the intelligence layer. Now we're looking at the application layer. So if you look at a lot of the people who got rich, it's actually because of the application layer. Napag-usapan natin mabuti, no? O, bago ang lahat, tanungin ko kayo guys, ha? Okay. Yung na-invento yung refrigerator, okay? Guys, refrigerator. Sino ang yumaman? Because nung na-invento refrigerator, di ba? Sino ang yumaman? Okay? Guess what? Di ba? Hulaan nyo sino ang yumaman. Seller of goods and so on and so forth. You know what, guys? Isa lang. Si Coca-Cola. Because of the refrigerator, Coca-Cola is where Coca-Cola is now. Tama ba? Nakita nyo? You see, nakainom na ba kayo ng Coke na hindi malamig? I'm sure kung ang Coke hindi malamig ngayon, walang bibili. Walang bibili para kainom ng gamot eh. Correct? Can you just imagine? So do not focus on the developer. Don't focus on the ref. In fact, the sale of Coca-Cola every year exceeds the sale of the entire refrigerator every year. See? If you look at the richest people today, they are rich because they were able to apply technology. Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, lahat na mayayaman, they were able to apply the internet and the smartphone. Di ba? So that's why we are looking at the application layer. Ito na yung next stage. Hanapin natin saan ma-apply itong AI na to. Okay? So huwag na kayo masyado magsiksikan sa enabling sa intelligence. Simulan na natin tingnan saan kaya siya ma-apply. Okay? So now, saan siya ma-apply? So ma-apply siya in sectors na mahal ang labor, but at the same time, pwede mo gamitin ng AI. So areas like software development, communication and professional services, healthcare, and financial services. Yan ang mga biggest application of AI because mahal ang empleyado sa sector na yan. Mahal ang doktor, mahal ang scientist, mahal ang bankero. Di ba? Of course, hindi ko kwento sa inyo sweldo ko dati. Okay, continue natin. And you know what? Guess what? The market is also started to move already. So dati, they're so concentrated on the tech industries lang. Nvidia lang, happy na ako. Microsoft lang, happy na ako. SK Hynix lang, happy na ako. Guess what? If you look at the trend, ngayon, funds are now moving away from the tech only. So, pumapasok na sila sa ibang sector. Okay? So, kailangan natin intindihin saan kaya sila pumapasok. Okay, these are tips that I will want to share with you. Number one, what I think would benefit the most, the healthcare industry. I believe the healthcare industry is one of the biggest beneficiary of AI. No, just to give you an idea, there is a company, in fact, there's two company that we expect to do so well. Alam niyo ba kung ano yung dalawang company na yun? It's Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly. Anybody who has a clue what those two companies do? Alam niyo ano ginagawa nila? They're the one who developed Ozempic and the Mounjaro. Okay? Ano yan? Sinasaksak mo sa tiyan mo para pumayat ka. So you see, yung diabetes, dati ang ginagawa nila para lang mawala maggamot yung diabetes mo. Anong side effect? Pampapayat. So kahit wala kang diabetes, nagsasaksak ka na rin. And that is one of the biggest market in the industry now. You see, because of AI, they will be able to develop faster patents, faster invention. Okay? Next biggest market is the oncology market and of course, medical devices. So AI will definitely be very instrumental in these companies. Okay? Now, next, the biggest advantage of healthcare is sabi ko ngayon, di ba nakakagulo yung market, nagkakaroon ng correction, and so on and so forth. What's so interesting with the healthcare industry, it's anti-correction. In fact, if market is correcting, if market is going down, healthcare is going down almost always way lesser compared to market. So, kaya ang ganda ring diversifier siya. No? Now, if you look at the cycle, yes, if the market is booming, the economy is doing so well, yes, finance, real estate, materials, they're all gonna do well. But if you are fearing na magkakaroon ng bubble, magkakaroon ng recession, look at the industry that is most resilient. And one of them is healthcare. So there's three: consumer staple, yan yung mga kailangan mo bilhin araw-araw, healthcare, and the third one is utilities. Okay? Of the three, I favor healthcare the most because not only it's resilient in a recession, it's also one of the biggest application of AI. Okay? Type exclamation point if you find our discussion helpful so far. And one of the things that we also want to look at is the clean energy. So you see, later on, na-discover natin na hindi pala tayo pwede mag-rely ng katodo-todo sa oil. So, anytime na mag-away sila, patay tayo lahat. So, you will expect there is now a high demand for clean energy. You know, ladies and gentlemen, that Toyota in the Philippines is not the number one as of March anymore. It's an EV company. Of course, I will not tell you what company that is. Okay? But guess what? Because of clean energy. So you see, we see that clean energy will also continue to do well. Regardless kung matapos tong gera o hindi, people are now more conscious on going to the clean energy market. Okay? Now, I just want to make sure that I add this. We still believe that China will be the next alpha. Okay? Last year, it did very well. It did 28%, no, last year. And we expect that this will continue to do well in the long run. Remember, China is the second largest economy in the world. If you do not have any China exposure, I don't know why. It's the second largest economy, wala kang exposure, right? So consider China as part of your portfolio, okay? Because of this Iran and US crisis, guess what? China stand to benefit the most. Number one, he has one of the lowest dependency of oil and gas. If you look at China, wala na silang kotse na gasolina. Diba? They're the biggest creator of solar power and wind power. See? So their dependency on oil and gas is way lower compared to a lot of countries. Number two, the largest reserve in the world. Their stockpile is so large that if I compare the rest of the world with China had even more oil when it was still selling at a very cheap price. They're very diversified in their supply of energy. And guess what? They have greater control on their economy because a lot of their companies are still state-owned. No favorable macro starting point kasi ang pinaka-problem ng China, guess what? Is wala silang inflation. Baliktad, their inflation is so low. Okay? And of course, last but not the least, their impact on the GDP is way lesser compared to other countries. Okay? Now, is China overpriced? Kasi sabi mo sa akin kanina, umakit na ng 27%. Believe it or not, it's still very, very cheap compared to the US counterpart. If you look at the 10-year history from 2016 to all the way to 2026, guess what? The US market has gone up by 228% and China only is up by 28%. And what's very interesting is if you look at 2016 to 2021, US and China are just moving along the same path. And nagkaroon lang siya ng divergent because of the COVID, etc., etc. So you see, China is significantly undervalued compared to the US counterpart. Okay? So, and remember, China will be the largest economy in the world. Okay, their dependency in the US has significantly gone down as well. Okay, and look at China, they're very deliberate. So before they focus a lot in cleaning their market, but ngayon hindi na nila masyadong sinusupport yung solar and wind. They're now moving to the new frontier, yung color blue. Yan na ngayon ang focus ng China. And if you look at the national strategy of China, where is it? AI, quantum science, ICs, biotech, modern energy supplies, deep sea and deep earth aviation, human robotics, etc., etc. Hindi ba yan yung ginagawa rin ng US? See? Okay? Okay, now, if you want to be the lead in the world, these are the 9 components that you are now competing. Quantum, science, AI technology, biotech, and so on and so forth. If you look at China and US, China is leading 9 out of 9. 9 out of 9. It's not even 8 out of 9. 9 out of 9. If you look at the ingredients para magawa tong 9 na to, ito yung ingredient na to, there are 16 ingredient. 9 of that ingredient, China is leading. And they're leading by a big margin. Of which, doon sa 16 na yon, 7 US is leading. And what's so interesting is China is not even that far compared to the US. Now, I'm not saying move your money to China, okay? But all I'm saying is consider China as part of your portfolio, okay? No. Okay, so let's continue. The next one would be the political and policy development. This is the election in the US this coming November. Okay, why is so important? Kasi ngayon, yung US, the reason why Trump can do everything he wants because the House and the Senate are both controlled by the Republicans. Now, so ano nangyari doon? Kahit anong gawin niya, sigurado ma-approve siya. Right? Now, this November, magkakaroon ng midterm election. Another senatorial and congressional election. Now, if because of this election, there is now a possibility that the Democrat may now control the House or even the Senate. And guess what? As of now, the probability is the highest is that the Democrat will both win the House and the Senate. Pag nangyari yon, Donald Trump will just be a sitting duck. Kasi lahat ng gagawin ni Donald Trump, kukontrahin lang siya ng Senate saka ng Congress. Now, if you look at the chart, yung dark blue, yan yung sinasabi ng Democrat sweep. Look at what happened. Nung natapos because of the war now, ano ngayon na nangyari? No, yung Democrat ngayon umakyat na siya, 'di ba? So you see the people do not want itong gerang to. Kaya anong ginagawa ni Donald Trump? Babalik na naman ako doon sa thesis kanina na kailangan matapos na ni Donald Trump 'yun. Kasi pag hindi niya natapos yung matatalo sila sa eleksyon. Kita nyo? So at the very least, look at what's happening. The dark blue is Republican wins Senate and the Democrat gets the House. Yan ang pinaka-best scenario. Not only for Donald Trump but even for us. Kasi pag Senate is controlled by the Republican, the House is controlled by the Democrats, at least may check and balance. Kasi pag Democrat lang nanalo, wala nang mangyari sa Amerika. Pag Republican na nanalo, guess what? Kahit na anong gusto ni Trump, magagawa na naman niya. So, ang pinaka-best case sa atin is maging split yung House. Kalahati, hawak ng Senate, ay hawak ng Republican, kalahati, hawak ng Democrat. Okay? There. I hope this has been helpful so far. Okay? Now, okay, so mamadali ako kasi mata-times up na ako. So let's go to fixed income. Yes, I know equity is very exciting, but please always consider putting fixed income as part of your portfolio. The super good news is if you look at the interest rate of a lot of the fixed income now, they're doing fantastic. You can get as high as 6-7% return on your investment. So, yes, sinasabi natin kanina that the market is pricing in a higher interest rate, but even if we're saying na, sige, hindi tumaas talaga yung interest rate. Look at the interest rate that you're getting now. Sobrang taas. Look at the violet, look at the diamond. Before, if you buy a bond dati, you'll be lucky to get 3%, 2%. Now, common yung 5% nakikitain mo sa bonds. So, put bonds as part of your portfolio. It's also a very good way for you to reduce your volatility. Okay? And sabi ko sa inyo kanina, it's even possible that the interest rate may not even go up and it might even start to go down by June. If that happens, your bonds will even go up, will even earn you yung capital. Okay? Okay, so FX, I'll just go through very fast. We expect that dollars will continue to strengthen until end of the year. Okay, strengthen until end of the year. So peso will weaken, euro will weaken. Okay, gold is still a good diversifier, but be warned lang na hindi ganun kabilis bumili ng gold. Huwag kang bumili kahit saan-saan kasi baka maloko ka lang, hindi gold ang mabili mo, tingga ang mabili mo. Okay, but gold is still a good diversifier, but we expect that the price of gold will be very soft. Okay? Yan. Okay. So now, let's talk about the four risks. We're looking at four risks that you need to watch out for. The first one is sabi natin, ang daming spending ng AI. That's good news. But anong pinaka-caveat doon? It has to be translated into earnings. Kung hindi naging earnings yon or yung earning was disappointing, you will expect that the AI bubble will really burst. Okay, the second would be the sovereign debt. Ano ibig sabihin nito? You see, you will always hear left and right that a lot of countries has continued to borrow money. So that's the biggest risk that I'm also looking at, no? So yung mga utang-utang nila, hindi sustainable na ganun kalaki palagi ang inuutang. So just to give an example, US, ganito kalaki ang utang niya. If you look at the gray area, yan yung income niya. Yan yung income na nakukuha niya. If you look at the blue area, yan yung ginagastos niya. Now, napapansin nyo, yung kinikita niya, nakita niyo sa baba may nakalagay deficit. Ibig sabihin, yung kinikita niya versus kinagastos niya, okay, as of March, first quarter, as of March, kulang na siya ng $1 trillion. So, ano mangyari dun? Utang na naman siya. Now, tingnan mo, saan niya ginagastos? Social services, Medicare, net interest. Yan ang reason din kaya si Trump kinukulit na gusto niyang ibaba yung interest rate. Kasi pag mataas yung interest rate, ang laki-laki ng binabayaran niya sa utang niya. Imagine yung interest rate niya, mas malaki pa kaysa dun sa national defense niya. National defense is only 412. Ang utang na interest pa lang niya is already 425. Okay, so that's a risk that we're looking at, no? Now, of course, next would be this geopolitics, not only the Middle East, baka lumabas naman, next time, igirahin nga ni China sa Taiwan, though I see that a very low probability, but that's an example of a risk that we have to be very mindful. And of course, last but not the least, is of course the persistent inflation. So to inflation na to, ayaw natin na mag-continue siya. So hopefully, the impact of El Nino, now that we know that it will be that we will expect an El Nino, now people are now more conscious in saving water, etc., etc. Okay? So that's the four risks. So let's now, to conclude, these are my recommendation on how you will now deploy your money or your investment. Okay, so the first stage is early development. No, so pag may gulo, like what's happening now, go on a more defensive stand. Healthcare is one of the best that you can go into. Now, kapag yung market, no, tapos na bumaba, hindi na bumababa despite the bad news na meron pa rin, okay, i-deploy mo na ulit yung 1/3 mo. Ang tawag namin dito is ignoring the bad news already. No, personally, kung ako, nasaan na ako dito sa stage na to? Nasa stage 2 na ako. So, 2/3 ng pera ko is already invested in the market. Okay? And of course, last but not the least, kailan ko i-deploy yung last 1/3 ko? Pag natapos na tong gera. Pag natapos na talaga tong gera, I will deploy my last 1/3. So if you do this, ang maganda na to, you can take advantage of all the events. Pag bumaba siya, you take advantage yung sa pagbaba niya. And at the same time, pag nag-correct na siya paakyat or nag-recover na siya, you will be able to take advantage of it. Okay? So do a one-third, one-third, one-third deployment on your investment. Okay? Now, some people may find this overwhelming. So let me just conclude. We still believe that the US market has a good, we still have a run before end of the year. No, China is one of the market that you might want to consider. Okay, investment in fixed income is something that I will definitely encourage you to have. Take advantage of the high return of the fixed income now. Okay, and of course, if you're still having a hard time, no, Melvin, I like what you said. I felt overwhelmed though. No, is there a way for me to review this? Is there anybody can help me guide this investment, my investment journey? Ladies and gentlemen, I just like to share with you guys that COL has launched their their COL Wealth Management. So we created a team to help you guys manage your investment. Look at them holding hands with you as you develop your financial journey. If you're interested to have one help you, just message or email us at wealth@col.com. Okay, so with that, thank you very much. No? Sorry, medyo napahaba yung usapan natin, but I hope you find it helpful. Type exclamation point if you find our discussion helpful.